Once upon a time, a long, long, long time ago, in great-great-great-grandfather's day, when some people still believed the earth was flat and the moon was made from cheese, in the misty, marshy land near Ely Cathedral lived a poor boy called Jack. Jack lived with his mother, the wise woman, in a tumble-down, one-room cottage. One late autumn afternoon he was told to go down to the river bank.
"Go and catch an eel for our supper, please, Jack,"
said his mother. Cold, barefooted, and hungry, Jack made his way over 7 ditches to the river. Nearer the river, his foot suddenly slid on something smooth, slippery, and slimy wet, and Jack almost fell. A husky, croaky voice said,
"Careful there, my lad. Just step to the right. Your big toe is pressing into my eyeball."
Jack looked down, and to his absolute amazement, saw beneath his foot a purple lavender eel with luminous green spots. Confused, but not afraid, Jack stepped aside.
I'm sorry,"
mumbled Jack, barely aware he was conversing with an eel.
"I was in a hurry. My mama sent me to catch an eel for her to cook with the nettles to make soup."
The eel's eyes opened wide, and he looked as if he was smiling and not at all afraid. It replied, "You're near the perfect place. But cook an eel? Whatever for? Look, just 2 ditches over there is a marriage ceremony taking place, where many handsome boy eels like me and pretty girl eels are having a dance. Do you really want to kill off one of us? How about a nice big turnip instead? That field over there is full of them, and the farmer won't miss one." The eel had by now pulled himself upright and introduced himself as Stanley Eel. Jack did feel sorry indeed at the thought of having planned to catch an eel, let alone eat it. Following Stanley Eel's advice, who was jiving along beside him, Jack did indeed get a large turnip instead and carried it home with Stanley Eel in tow. What a magical scene! A boy, an eel, and a long stretch of watery landscape painted gold by the descending sun. With a nose as sensitive as any dog's, Jack's mother sniffed an eel before she caught sight of Jack. She was rather surprised to meet an eel rather than fling him into a soup. Greeting Stanley Eel was somewhat out of the ordinary, but then again she did feel magic in the air. That night Jack's mother and Jack enjoyed turnip and nettle soup with bread, and for the first time in a long, long time, Jack's stuffed grass bed was free from fleas, as Stanley Eel swept it with his strong spotted tail and then slept on the earthen floor beside Jack. They all slept well. 3 days later, as the weather changed and the river froze over, Jack's mother heard that ice skaters from Holland had arrived. Mother and son dressed in almost every garment they owned, and Stanley Eel wore Jack's small smock as they all went to see the ice skaters. Jack, Stanley, and Jack's mother were greeted respectfully, for his mother was not only known to heal the sick, but she was also not afraid to have a sea serpent stand beside her. Who then were others to frown at this unusual sight? Shortly after, a voice boomed for all ice skaters to take their positions on the ice for their solo pieces. 13 young and fit men and women took their places. But the judges were not happy. 13 is not a good number, so they called for another skater to come forward or someone to sit out. No one moved. Then Stanley Eel stepped forward. Of course, everyone could see that he was an eel in a boy's smock, but no one protested. As the other skaters fell over one by one, only Stanley Eel was left standing. After he bowed to the audience, he danced the fin hop, the swirly sluice, the Cornelius spin, as no one had ever seen them danced before, with such grace and elegance and poise. Stanley Eel won the prize for the best solo artist, a pewter plate, as well as 2 solid gold coins and a bag of turnips that would last a month of Sundays. Stanley Eel and his new-found family lived content and happy ever after, and they never ate another eel.
If you are not going to eat eel pie, would you like to eat some shepherd's pie instead?
Asked Stanley Eel.
Good gracious, no,
Said Jack.
shepherds are difficult to find this time of year, and they taste worse than eels. Ugh!
When Valentine's Day comes round again, it's then you'll see us flatland men making ready for the long days when we'll haul the nets in the morn. We'll haul the nets in the morn. We'll haul the nets in the morn.